Yeah, hopefully you can see me. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jacques Tamayo. I'm a tax lawyer here in the Philippines, but mostly handling taxation and commercial laws. So for this afternoon, we will discuss about tax compliance of independent contractors, but more so about income taxation of independent contractors. So I will share my screen. I'll just get my slides ready for a while. Can you now see my screen? Hopefully you can view my screen. Okay. So again, our topic for today is your tax compliance for independent contractors. So basically for today, we will learn how to properly tax your individuals, particularly independent contractors. So let's proceed. So how do we tax an independent contractor? Actually, there are three ways for you to be taxed, or we can say two ways only. Ano yung dalawang yon? It's 8% income taxation and regular income tax. But under regular income tax, we can divide it into OSD or optional standard deduction and itemized deductions. So we will discuss about these items as we go through, and you need to determine whether 8% is better suited for you, or is it regular income tax? So let's start first with the 8% tax rate. Actually, your 8% tax rate is quite new under the Philippine Tax Code because this was brought about by your train law last 2018. So what is 8%? 8% actually is only applicable to individuals earning purely from self-employment or practice of profession. And independent contractors fall on this part. Why? Because they are considered self-employed individuals. Therefore, you can apply 8% tax rate. However, when can you apply the 8% tax rate? In short, not all self-employed individuals can place or make use of the 8% tax rate. Only some self-employed individuals. So when, if ever, your gross sales or receipts and other non-operating income does not exceed the VAT threshold, so let's say you do not exceed your total sales in a year does not exceed 3 million pesos, then pwede ka pong mag 8%. Or you are not subject to a specific percentage tax. What is a specific percentage tax? Those items of business or profession that is specifically subject to specific percentage tax. And what are those? Banks, international couriers, common couriers, amusement, PSE, franchises, life insurance, overseas communication, and winnings. So if ever you are within those businesses, you cannot apply 8% tax rate. O ulitin po natin. Kailan po tayo pwedeng mag 8% kapag self-employed ka? Ang next na tanong, lahat ba ng self-employed ay pwedeng mag 8%? Hindi. Kasi hindi pwedeng mag 8% ang VAT registered taxpayers at those income taxpayers or businesses subject to specific percentage tax. Next. Again, your 8% hindi applicable kung VAT taxpayer ka. So the option to be taxed at 8% income tax rate is not available to VAT registered taxpayer regardless of the amount of gross sales or receipts, and to a taxpayer who is subject to other percentage taxes under Title 5 of the Tax Code. Ito yung mga sinasabi natin kanina na hindi ka pwedeng mag 8% kung VAT taxpayer ka or you are subject to specific percentage taxes or yung other percentage taxes natin, yun yung sinabi natin kaninang banks, international couriers, whatnot, hindi ka pwedeng mag 8%. So, ang 8% tax rate pala ay applicable lang sa non-VAT taxpayers. Now, how do you make use of the 8%? Now, the 8% must be placed under your certificate of registration. But if ever it is not placed under your certificate of registration, you can take at the first quarter of the year that you are applying 8%. So how do we compute using 8%? So we get your net sales. So under your sales, we deduct your sales return, sales discount, and allowances. That will be your net sales. You add your other income. Ano yung mga idadagdag natin dito na other income? Ito yung mga other income not subjected to final tax. So let's say you are a professional or an independent contractor. Sa halimbawa, VA ka. So since VA yan, yung income mo nanggagaling sa ibang bansa, yun yung ating sales mo. Ngayon, halimbawa, may parentahan ka pa. So you have rental income. Your total rental income, let's say, is 30,000. So ilalagay mo yun sa other income. Ang idadagdag mo lang dito sa other income ay yung income mo na subjected to final taxes. Ano nga ba yung mga income not subjected to final taxes? Yun yung mga interest income nyo from banks. Aside from that, your dividends, your prices, your royalties, those are considered income subjected to final tax. So if ever those income, meron ka pang income na ganun, let's say may dividend income ka, may interest income ka, hindi mo siya idadagdag dito. Kasi ang idadagdag mo lang dito ay yung income subject to regular income tax. If ever it is subject to final tax, hindi mo siya pwedeng idagdag dito. Furthermore, so let's say ang net sales mo ay 600,000. Ang rental income mo ay 30,000. So ang total niya nan ay 630. So from 630, we deduct a deduction. What is the deduction? 250,000 kung purely business or professional income ka. But if you're a mixed income earner, wala kang deduction. Ngayon, ang tanong, ano ba ang mixed income earner? Ang mixed income earner ay isang earner na meron na nga siyang business or professional income, meron pa siyang compensation income. So if you have compensation income together with business or professional income, you don't have a deduction of 250,000 here. So net sales plus the other income minus the deduction, that will be your tax base. So in our example, if that is 630,000 minus 250, so we have there 380,000. We multiply it to 8%, that will be our tax due. That will be 30,000, I wait, 650 minus 680 minus 250 times 8%, 34.4. So you will pay 34,400. Okay, so that's how 8% works. It's actually quite easy. Why? You just need to determine your income and then you deduct. There is a deduction if you are a pure business or professional income earner, but if you're a mixed income earner, so let's say you have business or profession, plus you have compensation, you don't have any deduction. So what is the difference of 8% on your regular income tax? 8% actually is a bundle tax. Anong ibig sabihin ng bundle tax? Tayo pong, yung mga independent contractors po kasi, normally, dapat may dalawang tax ka. Ano yung dalawang tax mo? Income tax at saka business tax. Pero kapag nag-8% ka, ang babayaran mo na lang ay income tax, 8%. Pero kung hindi ka nag-8%, anong babayaran mo? Income tax plus business tax. And ano yung income tax mo? Either optional standard deduction or itemized deduction, and may business tax ka, which is normally percentage tax or VAT. Now, ano ang maipapayo natin sa inyo kung anong mas okay na gamitin? Depends on you. If ever, tingin ninyo na wala kayong masyadong deductions, then gamitin nyo yung 8%. Pero kung marami kayong deductions, gamitin nyo yung regular income tax. So depende kung ano yung mas best na option sa inyo depending on your transactions. Pero for less compliance, it is normally 8%. Because for RIT, mas marami tayong compliance. Ano yung mga compliance mo dyan? Meron ka pang expenses, meron ka pang business tax, kailangan mo pang mag-prepare ng iyong journals, mga ganon, kasi nga you need to keep of your you keep track of your expenses. But again, your 8% or your 8% or RIT, it's depending on your actual data or actual numbers. Determine first if ever what is more beneficial, is it 8% or regular income tax? Now, let's proceed to your regular income tax. So sabi natin kanina for regular income tax, there are two types of regular income taxation. That is either itemized or OSD. What is an itemized deduction? Itemized deduction actually is like listing all of your expenses. So lahat ng mga expense mo, i-list down mo, kasama doon yung cost of sales or services mo, yung regular itemized deduction mo, may special itemized deduction din tayo at saka meron tayong NOLCO. Aside from that, meron tayong OSD. What is OSD? We have your optional standard deduction. So ikaw yung mamimili, either itemize yung gagamitin mo or OSD. So kapag OSD, mas mabilis na to. You don't keep track of your expenses. It is just 40% of your gross sales or receipts. So whatever is your gross sales or receipts, yun yung ating basis. But if you are a corporation, it is 40% of gross income. Anong difference niyan? Naalala nyo ba yung example natin kanina? 650 yung sales mo, 30,000 yung other income mo. Kung gross sales or receipts, ang basis mo lang ay yung 650K. Pero kung gross income, ang basis mo ay yung sales plus other income. So you need to determine the difference whether you are an individual or a corporation because the OSD for individual and corporation is different. Again, for individual, it is 40% of gross sales. So in our example earlier, may sales tayong 450, meron tayong other income na 30. Ano ang magiging basis ng OSD natin? Yung 40% ng 650. Ngayon, paano naman kung corporation ka? 40% of gross income. Anong ibig sabihin yan? That is your sales plus your other income minus cost of sales. Why? Because gross income pertains to your gross income on your sales plus your other operating income. So you just need to determine the difference whether you are individual or corporation. But I presume all of us here are considered individual unless you are operating a one-person corporation. Because if you are using one-person corporation, then your OSD will be 40% of gross income. But if you are an individual, it is 40% of gross sales or receipts. So let's proceed first under OSD. So under OSD, when will you apply OSD? So normally, OSD is elected by taxpayer. So you indicate in your annual ITR or on the first quarter of the ITR whether you are applying OSD or not. And for the corporation, also you indicate on the ITR. So who can apply? All individuals can actually apply for OSD. Exempt individual under the law, you are not allowed to apply OSD. If you are subject to special or preferential tax rates, so let's say, for example, you are located in IPEZA and you are subject to a special tax rate, then you cannot apply OSD. And then non-resident alien cannot also apply OSD. Now, how will you apply it? Again, it is 40% of your net sales or your sales. It is not based on your gross income. Okay? So, actually, tapos na natin yung dalawang modes of income taxation or compliance for individuals. We already have 8% and we have OSD. Tanda na, kapag regular income tax, dalawa yung babayaran mo. Ano yung babayaran mo? Income tax at saka business tax. Pero kung 8% lang ang babayaran mo lang ay bundle tax, that is 8% income tax. Okay, next. Punta naman tayo sa itemized deduction. Ano tong mga itemized deduction? Ito yung ililist down mo na lahat ng expenses mo. So I will just give you a brief background on itemized deductions because dito normally nagkakamali yung mga individuals. Ang ginagawa kasi natin, kung ano na yung expense natin, yun na yun yung ide-deduct natin. Pero hindi. Because may tinatawag tayong limit under that law. Ano yung limit? So let's say for example, yung deduction mo or yung expense mo ay 30,000. Pero under the law, may limit siya. Ano yung limit natin? Only certain expenses kung may limit. Okay, so first type of itemized deduction, your regular deduction, we call that your estero, salaries, travel, EAR, rent, and other business expenses. So for salaries expense, walang limit yan. So kung nagbigay ka ng salary ng empleyado mo, kung magkano yon pwede mo nang i-deduct. Travel expenses, wala ring limit yan. Kung magkano yun, pwede mong i-deduct. But for entertainment, amusement, and recreation expense, it is subject to limit. What is the limit? Either you are a seller of goods or a seller of services. So for a seller of goods, one half of 1% or 0.5%. But for seller of services, it is 1% of your net revenue. Okay, so let's say for example, balik tayo dun sa example natin. Meron kang revenue na 650,000. Ngayon, meron kang entertainment, amusement, or recreation expense worth 40,000. Okay, 40,000 yung EAR mo, pero yung revenue mo ay 650. So, ang limit natin doon, since you are selling service, meaning professional services, 650,000 times 1%, 6,500 yan. So, ang ating entertainment expense na limit ay 650. 6,500 I should say, 650K times 1%. Pero yung actual expense mo ay, let's say, 30,000. So actual is 30, the limit under the law is 6,500. Magkano lang ang pwede mong i-deduct? Yung 6,500 lang. And ito yung kalimitan na nagkakaroon ng problema. Kasi akala natin, kapag meron yung expense natin, ide-deduct na lang natin siya ng buo. Hindi dapat. Kasi may mga expenses na may limit tulad ng EAR or entertainment, amusement, and recreation expense. Next one, rent expense. For rent expense, wala tayong limit. Kung magkano yung rent mo, yun yung pwede mong i-deduct. But take note, kapag rent expense kasi generally, if you are a withholding agent, kailangan may withholding ka dyan sa expense na yan. So, may withholding ka dapat na 5%. Kasi as a rule, kapag walang withholding then you cannot claim the expense. So, if ever you are a withholding agent, you should withhold on your different expenses. Next, interest expense. Ngayon, kung may interest expense ka, pwede mo bang i-claim lahat yan? Hindi. Kasi meron tayong arbitrage limit. Ano tong arbitrage limit natin? Ito yung ide-deduct natin dun sa interest expense. So let's say may interest expense kang 30K uli. Tapos, may interest income ka subjected to final tax na 10,000. Magkano ang pwede mong i-deduct na interest expense? Pwede mo bang i-deduct yung buong 30,000? Hindi. Kasi dapat bawasan natin siya dun sa arbitrage on interest income. Ano tong arbitrage on interest income? Yan yung 20% of the interest subjected to final tax. So going back on our example, 30,000 yung interest expense natin, 10,000 yung ating interest income subjected to final tax. So kukunin daw natin yung 20% ng interest income natin subjected to final tax. So 10,000 times 20% is 2,000. So if our expense is 30K and our arbitrage is 2,000, therefore, ang pwede mo lang i-deduct ay 28,000. So again, hindi mo pwedeng i-deduct lahat. Meron ka na namang ibabawas doon. Ano ang tawag natin doon? Arbitrage on interest income subjected to final tax. Kanina, napasadahan natin yan. Ano ang item subject to final tax? Sabi natin, isa doon ay yung interest income. Kung naalala nyo po, naging issue to ngayon. Parang akala ng mga tao is yung mga interest income natin sa bangko, wala, matatax. Pero dati na pong may tax yon. Ang tawag natin doon ay final tax. Interest income on final tax. So, final tax on interest income. So, yung interest income natin, there is already a deduction of 20%. That is the final tax on interest income. So, you cannot deduct all your interest expense. It will be reduced by the arbitrage limit on interest income. Next, we have your taxes. Para po doon sa mga nagbabayad ng, di ba normally ang nilalagay lang natin, taxes and licenses expense. Ang tanong, lahat ba ng taxes or licenses natin pwedeng i-deduct? Merong non-deductible. Ano yung mga non-deductible? Kapag estate and donors tax, it is non-deductible. Yung VAT, it is non-deductible. But for VAT, it is only non-deductible if you are a VAT registered taxpayer. But if you're a non-VAT registered taxpayer, this is deductible. Sales tax, kapag nagbayad tayo ng local tax sa sales tax, it is non-deductible. Special assessments are non-deductible. Surcharges are non-deductible. So these items are non-deductible. In short, not all taxes and licenses are non-deductible. There are taxes and licenses that are, not all taxes and licenses are deductible. There are taxes and licenses that are non-deductible. So you focus on items of taxes that are non-deductible. Next, losses. So let's say for example, bumagyo or nagkaroon ng earthquake. Ngayon, meron kang equipment dun sa business mo. Nung bumagyo or nagkaroon ng earthquake, yung equipment na yon ay nasira. So it is treated as a loss. So pwede mo bang i-deduct yung loss na yon? It depends. Because under the tax code, before you can deduct a loss, it must be actually sustained during the taxable year. Second, it should not be compensated for by insurance. So halimbawa yung equipment mo, meron siyang insurance. So insured siya. So can you deduct the loss? No. Next, the loss must be for the taxpayer and ito ang pinaka-importante. It must be reported to the BIR within 45 days. Hindi porke nagkaroon ka ng loss, halimbawa there's theft on your business. There's theft on a particular enterprise. Can you deduct that as a loss? No. You must report that to the BIR within 45 days upon the date of loss or discovery so that you can deduct that loss. So, hindi porke nagkaroon ng loss, automatically, ide-deduct mo yung loss. Saka mo lang siya pwedeng i-deduct if you report it to the BIR within 45 days. Next, bad debt expense. Okay. Ang bad debt expense or doubtful accounts expense ay hindi deductible. Why? Ang pwede nating i-deduct ay actual write-off. So, halimbawa, meron kang professional services worth 30,000. Kaso hindi ka pa binabayaran ng kliyente mo. Ngayon, anong nangyari? After several years, hindi mo pa rin nakokolekta. So, you recorded a bad debt expense. Pwede mo bang i-deduct ang bad debt expense na yan? No. You can only deduct it if ever it is actual write-off. So, it is treated as if a loss. So, there must be an actual write-off of the receivable before you can deduct it. So, upon recognition of the bad debt expense, you don't deduct it. You will deduct it only if ever you will write it off on your books or accounts. Okay? Next. Kailangan na the debt is actually worthless and it must be write-off. Kapag bad debt lang, so bad debt expense, it is non-deductible, dapat write-off. Next, depreciation. Etong depreciation, huwag ninyo masyadong pansinin to kasi this is just specific to certain companies, yung private educational, petroleum, and mining. Pero kung may depreciation kayo, kung magkano yung depreciation ninyo, pwede yung i-deduct. Ang may limit lang ay kung private educational institution ka, petroleum, or mining. But since we're all independent contractors here, it means that you don't apply these rules. So kung magkano na yung depreciation na i-charge mo, yun na yung gagamitin mong depreciation. Depletion, this does not apply to us because this only apply to certain businesses under oil and gas wells and mines. Next, charitable contribution. Okay, so let's say nagkaroon ka ng donation, nag-donate ka. Ang tanong, pwede mo bang i-deduct yung buong donation na yan? No, because it can be fully deductible only if dinonate mo sa priority activity of the government or to an accredited NGO or to an international organization. But if not, it is subject to limit. And what is the limit? Since we're individual, it is 10% of net income before contribution. So kung magkano yung net income mo before contribution, yun yung limit mo. Pero hindi basta-basta na meron kang donation, meron ka ng full deduction. Saka lang ang full deduction kung pasok siya dito sa tatlo. If it's not within these three items, then we cannot fully deduct it. Furthermore, if the amount of donation is at least 50,000, you shall file a notice of donation to the RDO where you are registered within 30 days. So, aside from deducting the donation, you must file a notice of donation to the RDO. So, hindi porke nag-donate ka, you can deduct the whole amount as a donation. It is again subject to limit. So if ever we only have three items fully deductible, priority activities of the government, accredited NGO, and treaty or international organizations. Pensions. So let's say you create a pension to your clients or to your what do we call this one, employees. Can you deduct it? For current service costs, you can deduct it in full. But for past service costs, you need to amortize it for 10 years. But bibihira naman tong pension kasi ang nagbibigay lang naman ng mga pensions ay normally big companies or corporations. So it's just an FYI to you that you cannot deduct the whole pension. Next, research and development. So kung may research and development ka for your trade or profession or for your business, you can deduct it. There are two ways to deduct. First, you can deduct it in full or you can amortize it for 60 months. Again, you can deduct it in full or you can amortize it for 60 months. Now, special allowable deductions. So what is a special allowable deduction? Ito, FYI lang din sa atin kasi hindi porke may deduction ka, yun na lang siya. Meron naman yung deduction na pwede mo pang dagdagan. Kailan yon? Kapag meron kang empleyado na senior citizen. If you have a senior citizen employee, you can deduct 15% additional compensation. So let's say for example, ang senior citizen employee, ang total na expense mo or salary expense niya ay 300,000. So aside from 300,000, we can claim additional 15% or 45,000. Next, if you have PWD employees, you can claim also additional 25%. Same example. So assuming ang sahod ng PWD ay 100,000, you will give 25% additional compensation, total of 25,000. Next, 50% additional deduction for facilities improvement for PWD. So halimbawa, yung business mo, gusto mong gawing PWD friendly, you created a ramp. So nagpagawa ka ng repairs or ramp for your business. So yung repair expense doon, pwede ka pang makaklaim ng additional 50%. So ang repair expense mo ay 200,000, you can claim additional 50% of 100,000. Next, training expense for jewelry enterprises, contribution in an Adopt a School program, for labor trainings, additional 50%, productivity incentive bonus, additional 50%, manpower and special training to rank and file employees, additional 50%. So therefore, for itemized deduction, we can claim additional deduction and at the same time, there could be limits. And if ever you create a rooming in and breastfeeding, additional 100%. So halimbawa doon sa business mo, gumawa ka ng sariling kwarto doon for rooming in and breastfeeding purposes, you can claim 100% additional deduction on the repairs. Next, NOLCO. So ano tong NOLCO? For NOLCO, this happens for taxpayers with negative operating income. So if ever you have negative operating income, then you can claim a NOLCO. It is additional deduction. What is your additional deduction here? The operating loss. You can carry it over for 3 years. So carry over for 3 years. And take note, anong magiging effect niya? From the gross income, you deduct the itemized deduction, any special itemized deduction, and whatever is the NOLCO. You can also deduct it. Okay. So before we end, last one, we have compliance. So what are your compliance requirements? You need to file quarterly income tax returns, first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter. So our third quarter is due on November 15. So those individuals here who are considered an independent contractor, you must file your income tax return quarterly on November 15. And then your annual will be April 15. Tip lang, for annual tax, minsan kasi kapag annual tax na siya, medyo mabigat kasi nga kukunin mo na yung total for the whole year. And meron kasi yung iba na saka lang sila magre-report during the annual. No problem naman doon kasi adjusted return naman yung 1701. Ngayon, kung masyadong mabigat siya, alam nyo ba na kapag annual income tax, pwede kayong mag-installment payment. Paano yung installment payment? Kailangan ilagay nyo dun sa ITR ninyo that you will make use of the installment payment. So you will pay your total tax due in two installments. The first installment will be on the April 15, and then on the second installment, you will pay it 6 months after, that will be October 15. So paano yon? Sa halimbawa, ang total tax due mo ay 100,000. Ngayon, may creditable withholding tax ka, halimbawa na 3,000. So kumbaga, ang tax due mo na lang ay 97K. So under the tax code, you can pay that in installments. So yung 100,000, hatiin mo into two. So 100,000 divided by 2, 50K on the first installment, 50K on the second installment. Next, paano mo i-claim yung creditable withholding tax? The creditable withholding tax na 3,000 dun sa example natin, you can claim it in full already on the first installment. So if ever medyo nabibikatan kayo on your tax due for annual income tax, actually, you can pay in installments. So two installments. Kailangan nyo pa ba ng approval doon? Hindi na. Kailangan nyo lang ilagay doon sa tax return ninyo that you are using installment payment for the payment of your taxes. So you will pay it first installment April 15, second installment October 15. Okay? So just a quick wrap up on what we have learned this afternoon. You have three choices as an individual, whether 8%, OSD, or itemized. Kapag 8%, hindi ka na magbabayad ng business tax. So magkano na yung iyong taxable income, you just multiply it to 8%. Next, for OSD naman, meron kang deduction. Anong deduction mo? 40% of your sales. However, for OSD, kailangan mo pa rin magbayad ng business tax mo. That is either percentage or VAT. Lastly, for itemized. Under itemized naman, meron kang deductions. Ano yung mga deductions mo? Yun yung may limit at pwede rin may additional deduction. Yung additional deduction, ang tawag natin doon ay special allowable itemized deduction. But aside from your income tax using itemized deduction, you will still pay business tax. So what's best for you actually is depending on your numbers. Pag masyadong marami kang expenses, gamitin mo yung itemized. Pero kung wala masyado, ang best ay 8%. Kasi sa 8%, you will not pay already a business tax because it is a bundle tax. So you pay income and you pay it at 8%. And take note, the 250,000 can only be deducted if you are pure business or professional income. If you are a mixed income earner, hindi mo pwedeng i-deduct yung 250K. Okay? So, yun lahat yung tax compliances ninyo, or how do we really tax an independent contractor. So for this session, we focus mostly on your income taxation. Okay? That's it. If you have questions, just feel free to chat them so I could answer them. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So yan, natuto ba tayo for today? Napaka-helpful nito sa atin, especially tayong accountants sa Pilipinas. Why we are sharing this? Can you see the opportunity of you if you know this session? Kahit ulit-ulitin ko siya hanggang makabisado ko siya kasi most of the time, pag accountant tayo, you will notice some people ask you, tama? Paano mag-open ng, ako, accountant, paano mag-open ng business miss yan? Anong kailangang i-file sa tax, sa BIR? And then eventually, lumalapit, may question Jack. Sige, question muna tayo kay Bernie. Paano daw? Remedy.
Question po, nag-file ako ng 2550Q for quarter 3, pero di ko na-change yung period sa quarter 3. Naka-quarter 4 sa return. Paano po remedy? Okay. Mag-file ka ng quarter 3. Mag-file ka ng quarter 3, i-amend mo yung quarter 4. So, bali ang gagawin mo, parang quarter 3, wala ka pang na-file, right? So, magpa-file ka ngayong quarter 3. Tapos, on quarter 4, mag-amend ka. Wala namang problema on quarter 4 kasi hindi pa naman siya due date. So, mag-amend ka na lang sa quarter 4. Bakit amendment? Kasi nakapag-file ka na ngayon. So file now for quarter 3,
File.
na file and paid na po yung quarter 3. Okay, so no problem. So pagdating mo sa quarter 4, wait, nung nag-file ka ng quarter 3, tamang quarter 3 yung naka-tick mark or quarter 4 yun?
Quarter 4, Jack. Sa quarter 4 tingin ko yan. Quarter 4 niya na tick.
Naka-quarter 4. So wala ka pang filing on quarter 3? Wala pa. Kasi yung 2550Q for quarter 3 is due on 25th pa naman. October 25th. So wala pang penalty yan.
Jack, nakat ka ng konti doon. November, di ba? November 25th.
Hindi. October 25th.
Sige. So, hindi pa naman siya
Yung
late.
2550Q. Hindi ka pa naman late. Ingatan mo yan. Paano po yung nabayaran ng quarter 3? So, you make use of it. Parang i-apply mo yon as payment for the return that you will still file. Kasi kung hindi ka magfa-file for quarter 3, ang mangyayari, lalabas siya sa system na non-filing for quarter 3. And then you apply the payment that you made already. Yon. And then on quarter 4, i-edit mo, it is now an amended return.
Yep.
Pero na nagbayad ka ng quarter 3, in-specify mo ba na yung payment na yon ay for quarter 3? Okay. So no problem. You make use of that payment for the quarter 3. Okay. Mag-apply pa po ako. Ang requirements ay 1901, valid ay okay. Need po ba talaga magkuha ng resibo kahit one client ka lang? Di na pwede po na isabay na lang ang applyan ang annual tax. Actually, the rule is that before you start a business, you should already register. If you did not register, then you are subject to penalties, non-registration of business, and mas mahirap yon. Next question, kailangan pa talaga ng OR? Ngayon, hindi na OR ang tawag ay sales invoice. Yes, you need to get a sales invoice. So before you will print a sales invoice, you can already purchase to the BAR their pro forma invoice. So pwede ka munang bumili sa kanila kahit yung 50 muna, tapos saka ka na lang magpa-print ng invoices mo. Pero kung ako sa'yo, while you are registering, you apply everything already. So you get authority to print receipts, mga ganun, or invoices.
Okay, any more questions? So while waiting, sinend ko yung link ng Automate. Why we're doing this? Because as you all know, hindi naman lingid sa kaalaman nyo, I'm part of Automate and Jack. Mga part-timers kami. But we would just want to share to you the opportunity of uh, early adapter ng Automate kasi we're making a solution. Remember when I told you when you're getting a client, so we're creating a solution. So again, yung opportunity natin sa accountant, mas malaki yung chances yung kayo ang kuning accountant na mga taong makakasalamuhan nyo. Tama ba? And even you as a freelancer, ito yung lagi tinatanong sa loob. So sana pag may nagtanong na freelancer sa loob, paano ba mag-file? At least ngayon, alam nyo na siya sagutin. Pero kayo ba, mag-type kayo ng one if freelancer or kayo yung number 2 dun sa sa mixed income earner para makita nyo kung ano talaga yung ipa-file nyong tax. Freelancer ba tayo lahat? Two may mix. O ayan. So ulit-ulitin niyo yung video ni Jack. Yan, kung freelancer kayo or ano na kayo, di ba, corporate employee tayo, transitioning to freelancing. As early as now, mag-file na kayo ng 2303 nyo. Madali lang siya. As in, kayo yung pumunta mismo sa BIR. Ako kasi naka-experience. Ako yung nag-file ng BIR ng isang kliyente. Basta complete naman yung documents, kaya siya makuha within the day. Medyo mabilis na po siya. Tapos online naman na lahat. So, wag kayong matakot. Kaya ang again, may opportunity kayong mag-serve ng local clients. Kasi kaya nyo siyang mag-guide ano ba talaga yung filing ng taxes. So sige, try lang natin mag-example. Sino dito kumikita ng 40,000 a month as a freelancer? So para accountant naman tayo eh. Sige, tama ba Jack? 40,000 times 12. Kung tingin nyo yun yung sasahurin nyo in a year. Tama ba? Sino may ano dyan, may calcu dyan. Tapos times 0.8% lang pag 38,400, 'di ba? Tapos divide nyo sa 12, meaning magbabayad kayo ng tax 3,200. Tama ba, Jack? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Babawasan mo pa. So kung 40,000 a month, let's say times 12, pwede mo pa yung bawasan ng 250,000 deduction times 8%, 18,400 lang yung babayaran yung tax for
18,400. Tama?
for the whole year divided by 12. So parang 1,500 lang.
1.5, oo, 'di ba? O kita nyo, ibig sabihin 1.5 lang yung bayad. Consider it as an internet. And why were you have to file your tax? Alam nyo kung bakit? Magagamit nyo yan pag magta-travel kayo, visa. Magandang yun yung misconception natin ngayon na kapag hindi ako magpa-file kasi ganito naman yung ano, wag niyo na natin isipin yung mga nangyari sa Pilipinas. Make it as your advantage kasi minsan pag maglo-loan kayo, hihingan kayo niyan, tama ba? Tapos kapag sasakyan, hinihingi yan. Tapos kapag magta-travel kayo, makakapag-travel kayo kapag nagpa-file kayo ng tax. Regardless kung magkano yung pina-file yung tax, hindi yun na ano yun ni ano ng mga agency kasi nga at least compliant kayo. Tama ba? Agree ba kayo doon? So kayo na mismo as a freelancer, i-practice nyo na kayo ang mag-file. Para kapag may dumadating na client, kung ganun lang pala yung trabaho, might as well mag-charge kayo, di ba? 3,000, 4,000, kung magkano yung gusto nyong charges sa freelancer na tamad mag-file ng tax nga. Tapos turuan nyo na din sila. Pag naturuan nyo, magkakaroon kayo ng bago, eventually, i-refer kayo sa mga kakilala nila. Nasusundan ba yon? Okay, yon. Kaya kami nandito ngayon again, ah pinapahatid na namin sa inyo na meron ng software na kaya na po mag-compute diretso from the software tapos makakapag-print na kayo ng form. Mas mabilis. Isang software na lang tapos ipiprint na yung form sa inyo. All you have to do is just click, tick. Tama ba, Jack? May titik-tick na lang kayo. Yun yung good news namin. So, nag-meeting kami last week. We do have kind of, ano na, ilo-launch na yan very soon. Jack, maybe can you give us a little bit background about that?
Yes. So we already have a software which incorporates accounting and taxation. I can share with you.
Yes.
Uh, wait, I'll just pull out my system. So I'll share my screen. I'll share my screen for a while. Okay. So can you see my screen? Nakikita niyo po ba? Hopefully, yes.
Jack, go ahead.
Okay. So we have here, kumbaga dito sa business, andyan yung mga sales natin. Wait lang. Ay, mali pala itong company ko. Andito pala. Okay. So, andito yung mga sales natin. Halimbawa, yan yung mga sales mo, na-record mo na. Tapos, andito naman yung mga expenses mo, na-record mo na. So, yan lahat yung expenses mo. Now, dito, pwede kang gumawa lang ng income tax mo agad-agad. So, let's say quarter one, you are a business income earner, you are a sole proprietor, you will make use of 8% income tax rate. You just click the get data and wait for the system to process your data. Ayan po, automatically, kukumputin na ng system kung magkano yung tax due mo. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, kung magkano itong income mo. So, ito yung total natin, right? So, yung sales mo plus other income, so total income, that will be 435,789 minus the allowable deduction of 250K, that will be your taxable income. And that will be just multiplied to 8%. So, kaya nakuha yan. Yan na yung tax due mo. And when you click Generate BIR form, let's just wait for it. Medyo mabagal lang yung system for today. But anyway, yun yung isa. Next, we have your OSD. For OSD, eto rin, just click get data automatically. It will compute for your tax due. Ayan. So, 4343 minus 1736. Ano tong 1736? Yan yung 40% na sinasabi nating OSD. And then we add our non-operating income. So we have now our total taxable income. And your tax due, it's based on the tax table. So automatically din, kinocompute ng system yan. And ito yung mahirap, yung itemize. So let's get data for the itemize. So we have the following. Ayan. So yung system na mismo, yung kumuha ng mga expenses mo. Ayan. At the same time, di ba sabi ko sa inyo may limit ito. So tignan natin. So meron tayong entertainment expense of 35K. So di ba pwedeng ilimit yan ng 1%? So kukunin niya na agad yung lower. So let's say 35,000 versus 21,700. Kukunin niya yung lower. Yun yung ipapakita ng system. Ayan. Interest din. Sabi natin sa interest, meron tayong arbitrage limit. So, halimbawa, ang computed arbitrage mo ay 2,000. Automatically din, kukumpitin siya ng system 28K. So, kung titignan ninyo, yung interest natin, 28,000. Ayan siya. Losses din, pwede natin siyang i-classify kung ordinary loss or capital loss. And then, makukompute na natin or makukompute na ng system kung magkano yung losses mo. So, yan yung ordinary allowable mo. And then you just click next, you just click next. So ito yung total na ordinary allowable mo, total deduction of 364,194. So when you go to the next page, ilalagay niya dyan yung total allowable mo. And then makukompute niya na agad yung total taxable income or loss mo and the tax due. Okay? So yan yung use ng system for individuals. Not only for individuals, it can also compute for corporation. So whether you are using OSD or itemized, nakaka-compute din siya. So that's for automate tax. So we already have income tax, withholding tax, VAT, and we include business tax. So for business tax, kung percentage taxpayer ka, andito na rin. If you are a VAT registered taxpayer, andito na rin. So that is all for our offerings for Automate na soon it will be launched to the market. And hopefully you will be part of Automate as the first time users or try to navigate the Automate and might be a solution to your problem, especially for accountants. Alam nating problema natin yan as an accountant. Ano ba yung mga problema natin as an accountant? It's very hard to keep track of the expenses and income. So parang alam mo yung crunch time na katulad ngayon, crunch time na naman, preparation of VAT, preparation of SLSP, preparation of income tax. But when you have this software, meron kang peace of mind that even if it is last minute, you can generate already your BIR forms. You can already generate your tax returns. Wala kang problemahin. With just few clicks, you can already be, you are already ready to submit to the BIR. Aside from that, you have much time. 'Di ba? Nakakatulong ka na nga sa client mo, mas efficient ka na. Aside from that, you have more time to your family or to enjoy your life outside accounting or outside work. And those are the things that automates wants you to experience in using our software. So hopefully you can try and make use of our software.
May question pa si Sean dito.
If gagamitin ni local client for his books, need niya, yes, if you are using it for your book of accounts, you need to register it. You need to register it as a computerized or a cash software or your computerized accounting software. But if ever you don't use it as your book itself, alam naman natin yan, di ba? na meron yung iba na may software sila pero ang pinapakita nila ay yung normal book of accounts nila, okay lang din naman yan.
Ayan. So you found the software ba useful lalo na dun sa mga I think yung iba dito nabigyan namin ng access siya nabigyan hindi pa lang siguro nila na ma-maximize. But the thing is sabi ko naman sa inyo we are on the AR era na. So if you're not using AI and hindi tayo 10 times ahead sa competitors natin, hindi tayo mag-grow. So automate yun na nga solution natin to sa tax compliance and bookkeeping natin as an accountant and also business owner as well. Okay, pa-type naman ng one before we wrap up. If you're happy with our webinar for today, how to transition him from physical books to software like. Ayan, may tanong pa doon. Alam ko i-encode lahat beginning balance. Meron tayong tinatawag na onboarding dito sa Automate. Pag meron kayong ganong client na mag-shift from one software to Automate, may tinatawag kaming onboarding. Ayan. Thank you.
Aside from that, you need to notify your RDO that you are not already using manual book of accounts, and you will register your computerized accounting software, which will be used as your book of accounts. So you need to update your registration also with the RDO. So to answer your question, to transition him legally, you need to update your registration to the RDO, terminate that you are not already using the manual book of accounts, and that you will now register using the computerized accounting software. And since it is computerized accounting software, normally your book of accounts are based on the computerized accounting software. Or if you want, you can transition to a loose leaf account. When I say loose leaf account, you just print the data from the computerized accounting software, and the printed data will be used as your book of accounts instead. So dun sa loose leaf, kailangan mo lang siyang i-bind, and yun na yung kailangan mong i-submit, or yun yung documentation mo for your book of accounts. Ano po ang mahirap ipasa? Bar exam or CPA? Depende po. Actually, it depends on your preparation. On my side, I find CPA board exam harder than the bar exam. But depende actually. It varies. But on my own opinion, it will be the CPA board exam.
Ayan. Thanks again, Jack. And again, if you would like to know more about the products, message me if you want the another, kasi magkakaroon kaming series of webinar next week, punong-puno yun. I think 3 p.m. to 5. Abangan nyo lang sa community. Same link lang. Tingnan nyo na lang kung anong oras. Pasok lang kayo dun sa mga demo namin para mas maintindihan nyo at mahasa kayo sa paggamit ng software. Eventually, maging accounting firm kayo someday. Kasi yun naman ang goal natin sa inyo, mga accountant. Maging firm kayo someday. Okay? Picture tayo and then we can, isang oras din yun. And thank you again so much, Jack, for your time. Napaka-valuable always kapag si Jack ang nag-share. Ha! How much? Mura lang siya, guys. I think titingnan ko na lang sa website. Ibibigay ko yung website ng account. Nasa, ano na kami, bigay ko yung link, guys, ha. Tapos, you can check, ilalabas na yung price. Mura na nga lang sa atin kasi nga, ang goal naman natin is kayo din dumami yung client and you can charge the client. Ipasa nyo sa client yung cost. Tama ba? Para kumita kayo. Nakukuha nyo ba yung logic? Di ba alam nyo naman yan, pag magpapabookkeeping sa inyo, nag-charge kayo. Isama nyo na sa cost yung software. Pag nagko-costing kayo sa client, tama? Kayo naman maghahawak nun i-avail nyo na yung subscription. For example, 800 yung subscription for non-VAT, 1,600 sa VAT, ipasa nyo sa client, i-charge nyo si client ng 5,000 or more. Kunyari, mahirap na mahirap, pero eventually, kiniklik-click-click nyo na lang naman, di ba? So, di ba, yun yung sinasabi namin sa inyong opportunity. Okay? Okay, picture na tayo. Yeah, mas madali talaga siya. Good to hear that you appreciate yung automate talaga. Ito yung goal natin. Okay, one picture. Labas na yung gusto yan. Pag picture na, labas talaga eh. Alam ko na talaga to. Matik eh. Anong meron sa picture? Yan. Sir Eman. Si Eman lang lumabas. One, two, three. Yeah, kaya nga automate siya kasi ino-automate at lahat. At mind you guys, ito pa lang ang first time sa Pilipinas. So kung hindi kayo matututo ngayon ng software na ito, we will conquer the globally. So kung matuto na kayo ngayon, ano ulit yung makukuha yung benefits doon? Yun lang yung gusto kong sabihin. Kasi we're on the mission of changing the game of accounting software sa Pilipinas. Sana kasama kayo doon. Okay? Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Jack. Andito rin si Ali and sa mga part ng Automate team. Thanks, everyone. And next week ulit, meron tayo, don't forget, si Lara and Edward naman. And then bukas, meron tayo ulit